Hey, you're muted, Troy.
Troy, you're muted. Yeah.
There, see, it muted me. I must have been muted the whole show.
The whole opening we were like, you're muted.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got all these new auto features. So yeah, so what I said to everybody was we're gonna catch up. We're 18 days now into the new year, and we'll do some old things, some new things. We'll bring Brittany in and all that kind of stuff, and Jeff. And I said, Jimmy, if you're out there, I know you're doing the show off the road somewhere. So if you can hear us, I know you're setting up. If you can come in, great. If you can't, we understand. And yeah, so we're just gonna talk about some of that stuff, Brittany, that we have been talking about earlier today, and what we've all been going through. But yeah, with your recent stuff. What's up, Samantha? How are you?
Hey.
And catch up with everybody before we get started. How's everybody been? We'll start with you, Jeff, I guess.
I've been good. Just working a lot. I missed last week, obviously, and so I called out tonight to work this week. What's that?
I said, what's up, Craig?
Yeah. No, I mean, everything's pretty good, man. Just little by little, getting ready to get the snakes out of brumation. I've been scrubbing tubs all day that I've been promising myself to clean for the last 3 months. So everything comes out this week, though. So hopefully we'll get going on the breeding and make some snakes.
So, Judy, that's really cool.
Awesome.
Is that the time you bring them out of brumation? Is today?
January 15th was the date I had on the calendar, but I had a lot of tubs to clean, and it got super cold the last couple nights.
And we're getting even colder Saturday, right? You know that.
Yeah. I got I put just a regular little oil-filled space heater in the garage, and I have to monkey with the temp every now and again, but it keeps it, above like 72, 73. And
that's all you need.
Their own heat, so it's not so bad at all. Actually, I thought it would be harder to heat.
That's really good.
Well, yeah, so everything in that front is good.
What's up, beginners? Yeah, that's cool. I mean, a lot of us, we do, I have a ton of animals, but I know there's a lot of animal things out there and a lot of animal pages and stuff. And I think it's great. I just don't do a whole lot like that because I don't know, it's kind of my private stuff and I love it, but I totally understand what you're saying. And yeah, we've been cold here too, man. And you got to reduce feedings because sometimes they won't eat. And then you're not careful and the temp's not right. You get regurg and sometimes death. Critical time.
Yeah, I lost a baby like that earlier in the year.
Yeah, it can happen. It's got a lot of improper care. It can cause a lot of shit sometimes.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But I do appreciate you guys coming here and always being yourselves, and that's important. And for those of you watching, we're pretty much, this is who we are and what we do. And even in person, if you know any one of us, we're all the same way. There's no hoopla and gadgets here, so this is it. So we'll get on some neat topics. But one of the things I want to talk about too is I know it was back in 2022, Jeff, when they found them, and maybe even earlier than that. But there used to be an animal called the Tasmanian Tiger, and Brittany's well skilled on that, so I'll let her touch up. So after talking to her today, she was telling me that a lot of people don't know what they found, so I'll let her do it. Are your beginner's guide? You're 22 today? Well.
No, it's 22 degrees, I think, is what
I was going to say, if you're 22 degrees.
Negative. Yeah, they said it was -3 yesterday. That's awful.
Yeah, who cares?
No,
we're just gonna ride it out, man. You know what I mean? Cold and crappy. So -2 there is like 22 degrees here, which I'm sure 30 degrees here. But so the Tasmanian Tiger, they actually I'll let you tell them, Brittany. So they actually found him. Black and white video, right?
Yes.
All right, so you need to tell us about that.
Yeah, so when he passed away at the facility, because it was actually over there, it wasn't in the US. Like originally, like I had thought, I don't know why. I thought that it had been brought to New York, but I think I was crossing it with the Komodo. Because that kind of seemed to be like during the exploration era, they would bring him to the university in New York or in Washington. So that because of the Smithsonian's involvement and so forth. But anyway, regardless. So when the tiger that they had in captivity that we have the video of today, when it passed away, which it passed away of pneumonia, which is really sad because they didn't know to bring it in when it had cold nights, because of course they had just trapped this animal, and how they got this animal was because there was a trapper who had caught it in a like a leg snare. So they were like, hey, we've got this animal. We don't know what it is. So that's how the facility got it. But once it passed away, the body went missing. Like it was gone. Like nobody could find it. It was kind of one of those like mysteries because it was like, well, we know we have the footage of it. We know it was there. We know it was real, but where's the body? And then they uncovered it in 2022 in the museum, and I'll
In
get the
December,
name.
right? Like in December.
I'll get the name so I can actually get
The
the name
remains
out
of the
there.
last known Tasmanian tiger, thought to be lost for 85 years, has been found stashed up in the cupboard of an Australian museum. Oh
Yep.
my God. It died in captivity in what, 1936?
36. Yep. At
And
the
where was
Hobart
that
Zoo.
Where was the zoo that it died at?
Australia?
Oh, okay.
Because Tasmania sits right there. It's right there.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense with a Tasmanian tiger.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it had been missing. So the funny thing was, is like during the research of it, because it died so quickly and then the body just went missing, they weren't able to do further like basically data collection on it to figure out like, is it part of the canine? Like what family is it from? Because it's like a mix of a tiger and a dog. Like it doesn't make sense. And so now that they have basically the evidence in a box, they have the skull, all the bones and the skin.
No, they do, but they put it, just to be clear right now, it's up on display, guys. It's in Hobart, in a museum in Hobart, and the skin and skeleton is now on display. If you guys, I mean, I'm not going to travel there anytime soon, but just in case.
But it's now they can actually do like further analysis and testing on the specimen to find out exactly just maybe what it was from. So like what lineage it was from. And it just helps in the advanced study because they believe they still exist in tiny, tiny amounts of numbers, like almost extinct, endangered, I guess it would be considered under. So they're trying to figure out if it does exist based off what we now have, the specimen yet again. What can it help guide us if it is still out there, and how can we protect it? Like what protocols would go in?
I know up in
huge.
2018, I saw some videos where someone had caught something like that coming after their chickens, and when it was running off, Jeff, it did have the stripes on the rear end of it. Now I was just reading, and I've lost the article because I'm not gonna say what it is because I'm not really sure.
Yes, Craig.
Another animal, another reptile. Craig probably knows. Craig will know this because it's always posted on the forums, but they just found another animal, and I believe a reptile of some sort, that they thought was extinct for 65 years. And they found a little colony of them. So
that's crazy.
I'll find it again. I was talking with someone over at the St. Augustine Alligator Farm about some other business, and we got on the topic of talking about that. And she said she hadn't had a chance to really go through it yet, and she was going to. But yeah, so something else was found. And so I mean, I think that here's the problem I think we're going to face, Jeff, and I think you'll agree.
Talk to me.
And Brittany too. AI. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So after debunking, they said 1943 Nazi Germany, they found, the Nazis found a live mammoth and stuff, whatever. And they put it on a film. And then you see another one goes like, oh, this Russian biologic team, whatever. When you found out what the guy did was using AI, he just reversed the picture of the propped mammoth up inside that picture, and then made it look like it was moving right in the snow.
Yeah.
And so and even then it's still look grainy and shit. You know what I mean? So I think that AI is going to cause a lot of problems. So if there is anything out there, like I think we should forget everything we're taught, because we know everything we were taught from the time we were kids about the world and everything in it was basically a lie. Right?
And wrong.
It was lied to the ones that were teaching us. Not like they were making up a lie, but what was passed down, and what they were teaching to be honorable. And anything you teach a young kid or a young child, they remember, and that's why nowadays, when you hear people talk to their kids like, probably shouldn't really do that. You know what I mean? You should talk to them. They're a little person, not like little person, like as in a real little person that doesn't get
talk to my animals that way.
Right. But just a little, but I mean, if you talk to a little, they remember that stuff, right? So everything that's ingrained in you and what you learn, it comes from that time, man. So I almost had that shirt on, by the way.
Oh,
I took it off. I had it on and I took it off. I don't know why I knew you were going to be wearing that. I took it off.
It was on top of the pile.
I go, Jeff and I always seem to do that. And I'm like, nah, I swear to you, that's no bullshit. I had it on. And I'm like, Jeff will have it on, and then it'll be weird. But folks, I had it on. So it is weird because we were doing that. Yeah. Quit hating on
Satan.
And my hero, Chucky. I love Chucky. Brittany can pretend she doesn't love him, but Chucky is awesome. If I could get
I didn't like Chucky.
I could get into a doll and go out and handle some business like he did and come back and go down to local McDonald's and get a McFlurry, dude, after I'm done. That would be a fantastic way to live. I think Chucky's real.
The
Every
possession of
doll I
dolls.
see kind of reminds me of Chucky. They're all creepy and shoot. I gotta let the dog out.
Go ahead, buddy. Yeah, so that my favorite character is Chucky. He's my favorite scare guy. But back to that stuff, AI, I think, folks, would be a real big deal because they're doing a lot of stuff now where they're showing things that are not accurate or they're doing it, and it looks really good. And it's really cool to fantasize, man. It really is. I mean, and now people are suing because they're using AI to make false pornography and stuff. So now a lot of these apps are coming with these pornographic block apps and stuff so that you can't, make it look like Daniel if you want to, whacking off in a tool shed. They don't want that. They want that.
Yeah,
to be
like there's no real footage of that.
I know, I always throw in a joke here, but I'm just saying, and AI is getting really bad. And so I've been seeing like giants, the red-haired giants of the Middle East, and it shows what looks like this, 12-foot dude, like just throwing a boulder, dude, at these little guys, going, shooting guns at them. And I'm like, wow, that was really good. Like, I know it's not real, but it was good. I know that footage isn't real. I'm not saying that there aren't giants around because I've seen a lot of them. I see them at Disney and all kinds of stuff. So I know they're around.
Yeah, at least now we know they're full of shit, 100%. It kind of opens it up to, it makes it so outrageous, even though a lot of the stuff that people tend to believe is pretty outrageous. And so now at least we know, that there's a better than average chance that it's bullshit.
But that's a problem, though.
What's going on, and it is a problem. It's a problem for people who really want to know. I mean, I will be honest with you. If I could say we all got an airplane and we flew out to Papua New Guinea, dude, or something, or wherever that you ain't got, no one's been in there, and you risk your life and you get past all the headhunters and okay, for example, there have the Christian kid that got drugged around and killed and buried on the beach by that tribe, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Nobody goes to that island at all. Those people have lived there since the beginning of their evolution there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure is it the French or France? One person went there with them, traded with them and documented, but never got in past the shrub line. Right. Mm-hmm. He sat at the edge of their village and stuff. And if they go by there now, they come out there with spears and stuff, dude. So who knows what intrigues me most about that island is who knows what fauna is on there, like what plants, what reptiles exist, what mammals do we not see, what birds that are migrating off that island, dude, what could we live there? There could be a colony of snakes, a colony of lizards or tortoises. I mean, we don't even know, or we don't even know what's on there.
Yeah.
I mean, New Zealand's got the tuatara.
Yeah.
And if you see that thing in person, you're like, oh my God, dude, it's like the coolest thing to ever look at for real.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that tribe, Troy, is 30,000 years old.
I know.
30,000. That's like not even something you could fathom in your brain to think that they have been untouched for 30,000 years. And you know how scary that has to be?
Right. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm. Like it's been protected, untouched, and they know that they've existed there for documented over 30,000 years. Untouched.
I mean, the guy who went over there knew what he was getting into.
Unbelievable. Yes.
Right? Like John Chow, I'm looking at him here right now. He knew what he was getting into.
And it's sad. He never should have done that.
Yeah, he wanted to go over there and talk about Christianity to them. They've been there 30,000 years, dude. Isn't that kind of before Christianity, dude? Let them live their life. Don't mess with them, And he was
You're not supposed to. It's illegal. Like it's illegal to even go anywhere near there unless you've had
the island,
permission.
which is off limit to visitors without permission, is home to a 30,000-year-old tribe known as known to aggressively resist outsiders.
Yeah.
He repeatedly got up there and he kept going, and they gave him warnings to leave. Mm-hmm. And he never left, and they killed him. And there's photos of him, like when they fly drones over or helicopters, man, they come out there with these handcrafted bow and arrows and stuff. I mean, they're using technology, dude, from like
primitive.
I'm enthralled with it. Like, I know that if we wanted to, we could send a bunch of Marines or Navy in there. We just wipe the whole tribe out and take the island. Not that we would ever do that, but we could. Like, they're going to come out. Yeah. We're going to. It's going to remind me of that Predator when what was it, Sergeant Slaughter? Do you remember when he was on the helicopter, Jeff? And he goes, he put.
You're talking about Jesse Ventura?
That's it, Jesse the Body Ventura. Remember, and he sticks his that chaw in his mouth. He's like, "This will make you a goddamn Tyrannosaurus or whatever." And he's just plowing shit out the window of that chopper. And I think they could do that there. They could send those types of people in, and it
But they don't want to because they're
I would
observant on
love,
an island.
for the
Yeah.
sake of, I wish there was more communication as far as not introducing them to anything.
Yeah.
All. Maybe
Well,
find people that look like them, that understand them, and go in there and just learn about their technology to teach how they've evolved in 30,000 years versus the rest of the world. There's a lot of archaeology. There's just so much there.
I agree.
If people went in there, there'd be street crime and McDonald's in like 3 weeks.
Exactly. So that's my point. We don't want to change it.
Horrible.
I don't think myself or anybody on this platform here would not want to know how they build their homes.
I wouldn't want to. Yeah.
I'm guessing some sort of mud and straw, but
it's okay. But look at this, but maybe not. But look at this island when you get a chance later. Look at it on the map. Everybody, look at it on the map, and then look at the design of it. How long 30,000 years they've lived there. So clearly they're all pretty related by now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's not. They don't appear to have any type of. They don't appear to have any type of like deformities or whatever from. So if you really think about that in itself, what did they teach? What do they believe in? What did they see that they've kept? Right. So that's where ufology can come in, cryptozoology. I mean, there's so much there. Like that island is perfect for that.
Well, it'd be fascinating for biologists and for any type of scientific
but if you think about ufologists in their talk, I mean, if ufology would be a big deal because you don't know what's been dealing with that island.
Well, and it's cool too because not only have they had to adapt, but they've had to adapt to understand, like, can you imagine their mindset of not knowing what a helicopter is, not knowing what an airplane is, and they've had to learn to adapt to the new sounds around there and the aircraft flying overhead and how traumatizing at first that had to be and how scary that had to be because they didn't know. They don't have any modernized influence. So imagine trying to accept that and then not scare your kids, like teaching your young, like these things come overhead. They don't hurt us. They just pass by. Like it's, I would love to know.
What they do with that kid they killed?
They probably ate him.
I don't remember. They might be cannibals. I don't know.
I don't know if that they will. I mean, here's the
deal.
There
are cannibalistic tribes in existence still today, but I'm not saying that that's them. I don't know.
They never leave that island. They are surviving on that island.
Right.
Somehow.
I think they left his body out there for them to come and collect, like after they killed him.
I thought they drove it away. I could be wrong. I have to reread it.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't remember.
They were like Jeffrey Dahmer, dude, and everybody that's went in there from 30,000 years ago, they got a collection of skulls. Wouldn't that be neat to see?
Yeah. Yeah.
Depends on whose skulls they are. But
anybody that's curious about how they would live like that, man. I mean,
but don't forget now, there is a down in I don't know if it's in Peru, but it's down near Peru because it got brought up
100%.
It got brought up during the whole Peru incident with the alien and minor weird thing, but there is like a very primitive type of, and I don't quote me, but it's like indigenous, and if you come in on their territory, they not only scalp you, but they skin you from your face back. So they leave the body and you have no skin on your face. Like that's how you die.
They probably wear the mask. They dance around later at night with it.
Who knows? But like that's what they do as their mark.
I'm Brittany.
Game gum style.
Like, but that's what they do. That's their mark. Like that's their trademark. Like they skin their face.
Would you explore me?
Which is crazy.
We change a lot. So as a human population, I mean, I was watching this thing late at night because sometimes you can't fall asleep, and I was watching up on the Inuit people, dude, and how cold it is up there, dude, and how they don't even have that. They just leave their whale meat, dude, out on the counter, out on the patio.
Yep.
And they bring it in, they cut it real nice and raw, dude, and they had these videographers up there with them, and they were like, dude, they were wrapped in like polar bear fur, and that was the coolest thing. Because I'll be honest with you, I miss a lot of which I'm going to lead into something with this, Brittany, and both of you, because I'd really like to get both your opinions on it. I miss the older, just, throwing a ball up on the roof and catching it, watching the direction of gravity, or really finding things, looking for lizards, hunting out in the woods, because I really think technology so far, we're not connected anymore. We're really not connected as humans anymore. And so sometimes I think when people get connected to a human, I think it feels really amazing, dude. I think like Avatar, the movie Avatar, when they talk about how they connect to the tree and all that, those people from all the different cultures were connected, right? They all cared about. I think that is gone for one. And so it leads me into like what started all that and where did we go wrong along the line, first of all. Are we already, what we're doing now is garbage technology to our ancestors.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And I think I was talking about this with Mom, actually. And I said, I want you to answer me a question. I'm going to ask both of you. You remember the gold rush?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, not particular, not, but yeah, I remember knowing.
Why does the human race, don't think about money, don't think about gold for cash, don't think about any of that. Since the beginning of time, the human race has always been so ridiculously attracted to gold. But gold back then was useless.
But it was rare.
Without technology. It was useless. They didn't
Right.
use it in anything. They collected it and sat with it and had orgies on it or whatever the pirates did, but it was useless because now it's used for, catalytic converters, right? It's used in your watches and your technology. Platinum gold, it's all used in, it's like crystal. It's all used for technology.
Yeah.
But since the beginning of time, like if you go back even into Peru, those little hunter-gatherers that still live in Peru, there's civilized areas of Peru, and then there's parts of Peru where, they still carry sticks around and wear leaves around their ding-dings, dude. They have stories about having to collect gold and how people from the stars came, like stories about it. What I find interesting about that is there's no influence, Jeff. There's no influence. It's not like someone's been in there going, hey, have you seen what the Simpsons did? Like they're telling these stories from what's been passed down. People came from up there.
Right.
Get this. And they have hunks of gold, right? The Mayans too. And then the Mayans all just up and disappear. And yeah, the Catholics took a lot of them. And I think maybe that's because they stole a lot of their gold. But regardless of that, humans, then the gold rush of the 1800s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all the way up to the early 1900s. Why? Yes, you got money for it, but who was collecting it, right? Don't you ever want to know why?
Rich.
Going like it's kind of weird. Like,
yeah,
we have this disgusting thing, and then there was these theories I was reading that were hybridized from what was already here. They wanted us to be miners, right? We mine most of the gold out of here that they could ever need or use, and they're moving on to other planets, and they just kind of left us. So that's why I say our technology, because I was reading today about the way they were laser cutting things in the Egyptian pyramids and stuff. Like they're like, there's tools now they can't even do it this clean without a water jet and everything else. So to me, I mean, there's so much to that. I'm not saying aliens did it or didn't. I'm not saying humans weren't capable or were taught. I'm just saying that what they were using was cool. That technology, precision laser measurement technology being used at that era, then to vanish for forever almost. Everybody's riding horses and throwing bow and arrows at each other.
Dark Ages.
Or to the Dark Ages, then to bow and arrows to this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it was like a reset.
And this is even better. They say, can dinosaurs live today? So you have about 16% to 19% oxygen on the planet back then, atmospheric oxygen. Do you know we're at 21%?
Correct.
With all the trees we've killed and all the global warming, we're at 21% now. We have higher oxygen rates than we did before. So dinosaurs could live extremely comfortable right now. And we could bring it back. And I sent you there. They were trying to bring it back by 2025, at least small species that they could go that was linked up to certain reptiles.
Hey,
Which is cool. What's up, Sean?
Yeah.
What's up, homie? So, yeah, Jeff, what would your theory be on that? I want to start with you. What would your theory be on the attraction of gold so strong?
Well, I mean, that would be pretty simple. That it's rare, and it was a lot more rare back then. When they found gold at Sutter's Mill, it's a rare metal, but it was a rare metal. And now that's palladium is getting more and more rare. So yellow gold is kind of fallen by the wayside money wise.
Right.
But I think it's the rarity and the beauty of it, the malleability. I mean, gold is so soft. 24 karat gold, you can bend it with your hands. So it's shapeable, it's malleable. You can build sculptures out of it. It's got a low melting point. So after they discovered all that kind of stuff, I mean, you look at some of the statues that were erected in like ancient Egypt and stuff like that, like the gold statues and, your Indiana Jones tiki head thing. It's easy to work with. It's beautiful and it's rare.
I understand that it doesn't tarnish, Bill.
And it doesn't tarnish.
The fact that we are most attracted to that. We are most attracted to it no matter what we were. We didn't even know why. We just knew it was worth something. What I'm saying was it must have been worth something to the higher up because that was traded in the Bible. It was traded. Gold was traded for pleasures and booze and all kinds of stuff. And then in Egypt,
Still is.
the peasants would trade gold to them for passage and stuff. I mean, we learned a lot about that over in Belize, where they would find that stuff, and they would use, and their most precious jewel over there was emeralds and stuff. Like the Mayans used the emeralds, and that was a big there's like this emerald necklace, Jeff, on some museum, maybe the Smithsonian, maybe, that was found it was worn by the Mayans, and that was one of their, like, they needed those jewels, those crystals were important inside there.
Yeah, there's a lot of emeralds in South and Central America. That's a big stone down there.
And isn't that crazy, man? I mean, that's wild. You get an emerald here, and you're like, what?
They're beautiful. Emeralds are such a beautiful stone.
And that's what I'm saying. And so, but gold has always been this thing, but gold is big for technology. Anything in UFO stuff, anything back in, the ancient UFO stuff, it's always about gold. They needed gold to do things. I mean, like I said, I don't know if you know what a catalytic converter is, Brittany, but we put platinum gold in. That's why people steal them all the time.
Yeah, platinum.
I can believe that.
They're going to your car and cutting your exhaust system out to get your catalytic converter.
Yeah, because it's got gold.
I mean, I don't think there's any of them in the Tesla, but you know what I mean.
There's gold in them there converters.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
I think too, like in the time of the gold rush, because it was such a hierarchy and a privilege, like if you had gold, you were part of the elite, right? So when these smaller towns that knew they were sitting on gold, like they were finding it, sifting it, and finding it, I think they realized that we could grow our town, have better food, have better care towards our towns if we get the gold to these wealthier elites quicker and faster.
Exactly. And that's what I want to do, the elite.
Right. And so at the time,
value.
At the time, the elites would have been like those in power, which at that time would have been presidents and, said the richer hierarchy folk.
Captains of industry.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. At that time,
who were born on third base and they can have whatever they wanted. They wanted gold, and
they had a gold spoon in their mouth. They had a gold spoon in their mouth. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what gave it its value, was the desire, the
But if you go back before the 1800s and you go back towards like ancient astronaut theory, then these certain minerals and these certain components like silver, gold, copper, quartz crystals, certain raw gems, when they're cut and carved out of rock, they do hold elements to them that can be basically turned into any type of tech that we need it to help record or document. So, it is very interesting. There are minerals even in the base of our ocean floor that we've yet to really explore what their capabilities are when using them in a useful type of tech. Maybe we'll get there one day. Maybe that's where USOs have already advanced and we just don't have that capability yet. But I do find it interesting, like Troy touched on with like the Mayan culture and where the ancient astronaut comes in, is because that information has been logged and passed down. And if you actually go into the Aztec realm, there is one said statue that's been dated to the Mayan time, and they cannot figure out why or how the statue is the way it is. And it is a statue with a QR code face. Now, explain to me how and why an Aztec culture, the Mayan culture, who is said to basically not have any advanced technologies, not know how to do anything, because we just immediately assume, because we really don't know. So we like to label that we're smarter, but we're really not. We're de-evolving. And I think the reason why we had to hit a dark age is because we stopped that. We stopped the advance, but what stopped it? Who was the stopping point? Because the Egyptians, the Romans, the Greeks, and the Aztec Mayan cultures were so far superior for their time, but yet we label them as primitive. But in fact, we are nowhere near there. If they already figured out how to have a QR code face, and I'm not joking with you, I'm telling you to Google it right now and look it up. And all the debunkers out there can be like, oh, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. But yet you believe science. So if you want to call it fake, it's been carbon dated. It's been dated to Mayan time. How did they fake it? They couldn't have. And it is a QR code.
What does it go to?
It doesn't go to anything. That was the first thing that a lot of the scientists did. They were like trying to see, well, does it actually work into something? And it's a dead link. The thing is, though, is our phone recognizes it. The iPhone technology recognizes it even as a QR. Doesn't go anywhere. So it's very bizarre to me that the Mayans were even known to have said computers, just like the Greek and the Romans. So it's amazing to me that they had a statue that was uncovered, that people are like, oh, they wouldn't have this stuff because they were primitive and blah, 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 with their little freaking books and textbooks.
I got to tell you, though, listen, let me
and
say
it's
something
annoying to me because it's like we just assume.
No, I don't. I think we do as the layman. All right. The people who get up, take a dump, brush your teeth, and go to Publix and come home. Okay. I think a lot of those people, scientists, etc., archaeologists, anybody studying, I think there's a lot of stuff that they know that they found. They're not going to tell any of us. We're not going to know that.
Well, no, they fight themselves.
I understand that if we, they're like, oh, well, what are we going to write? You already said, oh, we'll just say we found this. If it went somewhere and the uppers get a hold of it, you're not going to know where that QR goes to, dude. Are you kidding me? They're not going to give up those. That's just things I'm telling you. It's beyond that.
I agree with you.
Lied to, dude. We're lied to by a lot of things.
I agree with you. It's like I said,
though. It's like they know stuff.
If there is an agenda that you're putting in place for whatever reason, then when you have a discovery, you're going to make it go away because you don't want that discovery to be seen because it doesn't fit the narrative of the agenda in which you're pushing out. So you will pick and choose what will be seen if it fits into said agenda or narrative of how you want the general public to believe, see, feel, etc. So that is why the Smithsonian, all the way dating back into the 20s when discoveries were being made, even a little bit prior to that, when explorers were sent and told to find something, they were immediately to involve the Smithsonian. And guess who funds the Smithsonian? The government. So unfortunately, we do have money coming in to help the Smithsonian, and their archive levels are so large that half the people don't even know what's in those boxes.
Indiana Jones was trying to tell you that when the first movie came out.
But it's 100%
true. But it's
100% true.
Warehouse? Like,
yep. The huge warehouse. Yeah, you don't want your face. And then the thing burned off the side, man. So you don't know what it is.
Yep.
I was just looking at that QR code. I'm not Amanda. I kind of gave up on those shows. But I was looking at that QR code and just me playing devil's advocate, it kind of looks like a blueprint of a building with a maze.
It does look like that. It does. Like a Mayan temple, like
right.
Here's where all the rooms are. Here you get to,
right.
And that's
really crazy looking. I will admit it's crazy. It is crazy looking. Just seeing it now, I'm looking at it while I'm talking to you. That's pretty wild. And
men.
But imagine being like an archaeologist uncovering that. I mean, wouldn't you just stop and be like, "What the heck?"
First thing I do is take out my phone to be like, "Oh,
that's what they were doing. They were doing that. They were goofing around. They're like, "Is it?" It was they were trying to discover.
I'm not sure if Brittany even thought X, Y, or Z about it, but if you remember, Jeff, from like 2000, I stopped seeing it in about 2012. Do you remember when QR codes were big?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then they were.
Oh, that's just junk. We don't even use that anymore. People would have stacks of business cards and boxes like this, just throwing their QRs out. Now it's used on everything.
Mm-hmm.
I use it to catalog and categorize my snakes.
And here's what's really interesting.
Weights.
Oh yeah,
it's all recorded on QR.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So I was the other day, like
you've been using that for years.
You were out at the theme parks, and I seen them, and you can hold your phone up, right? Looking out, and over in the corner of your phone will start like dialing in on a QR code that's way far away, and you can tap it. It'll take you to a menu. It's so weird that those things recognize that so fast now.
Yeah, it used to take forever. You used to have to focus and unfocus. Now, like a lot of times,
like
if
tap here,
I go to watch a streaming service on my TV that I haven't watched on that TV in a while, and I have to reset it, and it gives a QR code. I don't even have to get off the couch, man. I just aim my phone at it, and boom, there's that little yellow box. The funniest part is when people just don't know and they start taking pictures and they're like, how do I use this thing? Happens a lot.
I've got something fun for you guys, and I think you guys will find this really interesting.
I don't want to hear anything. Okay. I don't want to miss anything fun.
Okay.
We'll talk about something funny till then. But yeah, I just thought that was weird because we were using QR codes for a while and they were obsolete. Like the guy, I think.
Right.
There's a story about the guy who created the fax machine and then also the printer.
Yeah.
Like we won't be using. That's just a bunch of.
But
All
that's
right,
like in
I'm not
Egypt.
one for
That's
fun.
like in Egypt when they found what were believed to be packed batteries, and they're like, why did the Egyptians need batteries? What would they need like they actually made batteries and they were
And air
large and they're like,
conditioning and everything else. And don't
Egyptian
forget the Romans.
operators, Egyptian radios.
They talk about it.
no, they had power.
Romans-
I don't care what anybody says. They had working power. I mean, they really did. They figured that out. That's what those batteries were for. You don't like
A lot of kids don't realize it didn't. Like you'll be going through and you're learning history no matter where you are. You could be anywhere and learn it. One of the places I know they talk about it is in that big giant ball at Epcot Center. But if you remember, it was the Romans that invented the first World Wide Web.
Yeah. Yeah. Realistically,
the way they created, they were the first ones. And then when everything burnt, some stuff was saved in the Middle East. They were sending transcripts of what we were teaching to the Middle East, right? So when they thought they took Rome down, they were going to shut all that down. It sparked up again, and they found those things. I think, thank God, people protected a lot of that.
Can you imagine what was lost though? Like I would love to know.
Can you imagine what they looked at and they were like, we're not going to release it. Are you? Hell no. And they put it away. We're not going to talk about this, dude. We're not going to talk about that. So,
well, okay. So here's something really interesting. So over in Asia, and I don't know the name of the town, but they started taking, they were doing brainwave technology on monks during meditation, right? How deep in trance and receiving messages in the brain from what they believed was another dimension or higher level. And as the monks believe from God, right? Buddha, right? So they were saying this, but then there's actually like a very large group of people, and it's kind of being looked at by the government because they don't know if it's a cult or not, but I don't think it is. I think these people are just tapping into a resource that we all could, and we just don't. But anyway, they believe they get messages from extraterrestrial, right? That provide information to their brain, but it could be misinterpreted. It could be God, could be extraterrestrial, it could be the universe, whatever you believe. But fascinating enough, this scientific lab found that these people outside of the monks that could meditate to such extent, they took such interest into them, and they wanted to know in deep state meditation. And some monks, they're able to communicate via thought without talking to each other. They can literally communicate via thought through deep meditation.
Well, I don't disbelieve it.
I don't either. So the scientific lab started doing, and they basically work neuro. So they were doing and dealing with the brain, studying one of the main monks there who's been a practicing monk his whole life. This man's like probably 90 years old, and he comes to this location and they work on his brain in deep meditation state. They actually got so much data from working on his brain in deep meditation that they ended up using like several different individuals as test subjects to continue this information sharing through deep meditation. And they were able to uncover that several of their basically said, patients, I guess you would call them, or test labs, people actually were able to, subjects in different rooms were able to communicate thought by communicating and talking to one another in two different rooms through just deep state meditation and concentrating on talking to this person. And they were able to actually have a sound conversation in their brain, and it was being documented. She's telling me this, and in the other room, she was saying, he's telling me this, and I'm going to answer. And it was spot on. And what's really fascinating about this is even though we're just tapping into this, when you deep dive into extraterrestrials, other higher intelligent beings, non-human intelligence as the government speaks of them, what's fascinating is that extraterrestrials never use their mouth. They do not speak. When a subject is in the midst of an extraterrestrial being, whatever race it is, they never talk. It's all in subconscious. It's all in the mind. They hear them speaking in their mind. So I think it's very fascinating that even though we're currently studying this and discovering that when we tap into this part of our brain, we are able to communicate to another person through thought and actually talk to them. The extraterrestrial beings have already done this. So it proves and it shows some connections there that people aren't tying in, but it's very interesting to me on people that have been abducted or had alien encounters have said, I didn't speak anything, but I heard them and I talked to them. But we had conversations, and yet we're just discovering that now. So I think that's really fascinating. And I've made that connection with extraterrestrial and abductees, with extraterrestrial contact and communication. and that current study that's unfolding. And I think that that's truly incredible, because the monks have been telling us forever that we can speak to our ancestors, we can speak to, God, we can talk to people throughout the state of meditation through thought. So I find this extremely compelling on so many levels, because
Well, you can
it's not possible.
You
And
can
here
even
it is.
trigger that with somebody, Brittany, with sugar pills. Their brain is so strong they can cure themselves of a disease. I mean, that's already proven. It's not religious, that's science. So your brain. Here's one thing I'm interested in, and I've said it before on the show. Go look, every one of you who are watching, go look up the rainbow body. Okay, look for the pictures of the rainbow body. Look at the monks that practice where before they die, they go into such a deep state of meditation that, Jeff, look at those pictures. They don't ever rot. They kind of pull the rainbow, the monks and the rainbow bodies. They don't ever rot. Sometimes they look like a newborn baby with an adult head. They've been dead for fucking 20 years, and they don't decay. They keep the organisms inside. It's the strangest thing to me, man.
Yeah,
I know it's not ever widely talked about. I've never even seen a show on it. I learned about it looking into a museum one time about mummification, and then how they were doing it mentally. I just find it intrigues me to no end. And they have them. It's not like you can't go see them. They're family members, and they're sitting there in these little like boxes with their eyes closed, like when they died 20 years ago, but they still look just like an old man. It's weird. And they're not frozen. They're not mummified. They just have their eyes closed, and instead their bodies just start to slowly just go away. It's the weirdest thing. They call them rainbow bodies. I've always been interested in that. How's that? So
National Geographic did that too. You saw that, Troy, didn't you? Didn't I send that to you? When you sent me the rainbow body, the National Geographic people studied one family who's like the elder was dying, and he had started the deep state meditation. Yep. After he died, he looked like he was still sitting inside the hut.
He sat for a long time, like he in a Buddhist pose, Jeff.
Yeah,
for years, dude.
Interesting.
And never rotted, never dried out, never fell over, never ate, never drank, nothing. He just sat like that.
Deep state meditation until death. And then
they've been following it. It's weird.
Yeah, and they kept him there, and they were like, "This is Grandpa," and like, "This is Dad," and like,
this is Grandpa.
He had already passed. Like, he was just sitting there in deep death state meditation. It was incredible, fascinating.
Listen,
preservation.
You go back into Dr. Espinoza or whatever, the guy that does all that brain teaching and stuff. He's like a neuroscience. He's like a brain something and a neuroscience major, whatever. He does all kinds of stuff where he helps people like get out of their mindset, and he helps them. And he talked about his first interesting things where he studied where the monks 8,000 years ago could bend matter. If you read about that, Jeff, and they could like push their hand through a wall, like they had the abilities to do that. And then people all go to visit that, and you can see the hands. You can see the hands pushed into the wall, and it's pretty cool.
There is a prisoner. I just saw this the other day from a paranormal group.
Jim, that's funny.
From
used a paranormal to be the same thing when we were growing up. Nat Geo was our porn.
Yep, it's true. I remember that. The books.
Well, I mean, the mind can be physically changed. That's science in and of neuroscience and at its best. It's your synapses can be changed and rerouted. That's where a lot of the psychedelic research into things like Alzheimer's, in which you get demyelinated and you don't fire properly. It can actually take that dead synapse and move it to an area where it's not a dead synapse.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I mean? How it kind of
100%
goes in. So you're saying about how we can change people's mindsets and bring them out of stuff. I mean, you literally can physically change the human brain with nothing but the human brain.
Yep. Well, I mean,
it's just the power of suggestion too, man, is another way to change the brain. And I don't know, man.
But think about it though. Like, so we don't even use our full percentage of our brain power. We don't. That's scientifically proven, whatever you want to call it. Like, we just don't. And so I think it's really fascinating when people think of like animals, and I know Troy touched on this before in the past about crocodilians and gators in their minds, and how back in the day we're like, oh, they have such tiny brains, they're so dumb, but they're actually really intelligent, more intelligent than us, because they use their whole brain. So I think it's fascinating because even in the realm of, like, for me, I think about this stuff often.
What's that?
While Brittany's talking, I said, "Look what I sent you in Messenger." That blows my mind every time I watch it. Go ahead, Brittany.
Sorry, I was reading what Tracy just had messaged.
Oops.
It's okay. Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
that little thing does that inside your body, dude.
She wants to send that.
Blows me away.
Yes, please send that to Troy if you don't mind, Tracy. That would be awesome. If you don't mind, that'd be great.
Our meeting last night, it was amazing. Long story short, October 2 a.m. the peak of the.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Please send that in, Tracy. That'd be awesome. Please.
Send it to all of us. I'll watch it. That's cool.
Gosh, what was I talking about? That was really a great little offshoot there that I got sidetracked.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. In cryptozoology, I think about this all the time. So like when we think of primates in general, and we talk about even like the idea of Sasquatch or Bigfoot, I think it's really ignorant of some people to think that if there was a type of primate of the North American region, that it would be dumb. I think that is the dumbest thing I could ever hear, because as we study primates in the wild, not in captivity, but actually in the wild, we're learning that they are so intelligent and are almost at the same intelligence as us, if not more. And so I would think that something as elusive, as large, and I would have to think in low numbers as well, would adapt to understand and utilize more of their brain than we would need to if they have to learn to thrive and survive for long periods of time and remain hidden from us. And so it's fascinating to me because I just feel like we try and dumb things down so that we're superior, but there are so many things and mammals on this planet that are far more superior than us in intelligence, but we don't talk about that. We kind of push that down because the only thing that makes us more advanced is that we have weapons, we have guns,
and these bad boys right here.
So do gorillas, though. Gorillas have these too. So imagine if a gorilla was in the ability and learned how to have a rifle. I would not want a silverback with a rifle who knew how to use it. So I think they could learn. I think they could easily adapt to it.
Planet of the Apes.
I'm just saying these types of things fascinate me because we still feel that we are the superior, but yet I would like to see somebody with these go into a lion's den with a lion who was just caught in the wild. These are not going to help you. Go in with these to go help you with an elephant. There are certain things that we just are not superior of. So I still think we need to be humbled as the human race from time to time. So when we uncover really cool mysteries or discoveries in the wildlife or even within our own science, and Jeff, even in your own field, I think it's great that we get humbled from it. Because I think if we start getting that superior feeling too much, we will totally keep de-evolving. Because I think like the three of us, we say this all the time, we continue to grow and learn with the knowledge. Because if you've already learned it, then why are you doing it? If you know everything, why are you doing it? Yeah. You don't know everything.
Nobody knows
so exactly. And so I think it's great that we still get humbled by these findings. We still get humbled and go, God, I thought we knew this, but now we don't. We have to rethink everything. And I think that's the fascinating part of science that we seem to forget and we just push aside. Like we just stay at this one plateau and go, well, this is what we were taught, so this is a line we follow. But thank God for some of those scientists that go, yeah, but what if?
Oh, you got to push it past the limit, otherwise you never learn. And I think one of the biggest problems going on now is that we don't have the capacity to unlearn. And we've already heard it in school, or we heard it growing up, or our mom told us, so it's got to be true. And nothing you can say can pull that from our memory and our brain.
Sure.
And on the other hand, that people they don't allow themselves to have the capacity to learn because they go in with a mind already closed. You can't pour knowledge into a closed vessel. It just doesn't work.
100%.
Yep. Exactly.
People need to open their eyes.
For sure.
And trial and error. That's how science has worked since the dawn of time. When people freak out and go, well, the science said to do this and it didn't work. Well, that's science.
Exactly.
It's exactly how it works. Okay, it didn't work,
Exactly.
so now we're going to take it and we're going to tweak it and move it around. You
Right.
know, people
The
don't
free
get that.
the
You
free
know,
thinkers of science. Those are the people I back. The free thinkers of
course,
science who understand
of
it but
course.
apply new techniques and stuff to it. Like
Yeah,
you said,
your
you
Nikola
can't.
Teslas and your, you know,
Right. Albert Einstein's.
Copernicus and Galileo. I mean, these are people that could have been killed for saying the things that they said and doing the experiments that they did, but they did it anyway because they
Exactly.
needed to know, what makes this tick and what makes it work.
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci.
Yeah.
Da Vinci
Da
was.
Vinci.
If Da Vinci had realized a tenth of his insight and inventions that he had on paper and not actually made, there were vehicles and
Helicopters. Yeah.
and it's unfriggin' believable. If you look at some of the old drawings of so the concept was always there. Well, we can make a flying machine using the wind and a propeller that moves around really fast,
Right.
especially a helicopter, something that has no aerodynamic business being above the ground.
Right.
So it defies all the laws of aerodynamics.
Right.
So to think about that in a time when people were still using stones to smash their dinner food, it's amazing.
It is amazing. And I mean, I think
Mhm.
about when I was a kid, Jeff. I'm sure you do too. Like G.I. Joe and Ultraman, they all had jetpacks and they flew around. We got those now.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
got jetpacks.
You
We
can
can
go
fly
rent
around
one.
with, dude.
You can do the jetpack on the water in like any resort town for $50. You can ride
I'm
a jetpack.
terrified of that, Jeff. I am frankly
Are you really?
terrified of that.
It's
Yes.
just pretty soft landing.
I
I'm the
can't
same
do
way
it.
about parasailing. It just something about
Terrified.
being static up there and not being able to like, hey,
Yeah, I think it'd be a rare lightning bolt.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
on talking about
Sure.
intelligence, seriously though, Jeff, I think the smartest living creature on the planet would be citizens. That's what I would think.
Yeah, I mean,
100 million percent.
Yeah.
100 million percent. The way they communicate, the way they speak to each other, how many waves of communication lengths are in one vocal cord. Like you can say one word that
That's
means a couple
incredible.
things. Like you could say, there's words that you use that have 2 or 3 different meanings and it's one word, So you got waves of communication. So I think the Bible has like somewhere 4,000 to 6,000 waves of communication, perceptions and communication. Whales are in the millions, dude. For those of you who don't know, citizens are whales, and killer whales especially. There's no known attacks on humans in the wild by a killer whale, but I don't know if you've seen videos reaching up to the internet lately where they're coming back and forth and they're going up to kayakers and getting to follow them, and it turns out that one of the adult females was caught up in some rope with an anchor, and they were taking their body and pushing her to the top so she could breathe and letting her back down. And they sent the young found some kayakers. They kept bugging them and bugging them and bugging them and bugging them. And when the kayakers started falling, these people got in the water and climbed down there and started cutting that rope with these massive killer whales around them. Right.
And then
so they literally were asking for help. They could have went up there and just killed that fucking boat if they wanted to, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Killer whale is not, and they in captivity, it's like keeping a human imprisoned. I mean, I don't think we, the way they move in their own atmosphere, water is another planet, and every so many feet is an atmosphere. It's a different world. We talked about it last week. So to put 100%. Something that size in something that small, I think eventually starts to cause, they don't adapt. It's not like you can bring your, capybara in and sit him on the couch and he can have a carrot with you while you watch a movie, and he likes being scrubbed and stuff. He's still breathing air. I don't close mine. He runs around. He goes and jumps in my pool. He hangs out like one of the dogs. He's one of the gang, right? But you can't do that with a killer whale.
He's cool as shit.
He is.
He is. I'm going to post up to you when you come to the house like he's a puppy. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he's like that. He comes running up to you and he like rubs. He has a big old nose and he rubs it up and down on your leg all the time, dude. It's funny.
He's the coolest.
But just so everybody knows that they had the bite PSI bite of a jaguar.
No shit.
Oh, listen here, you get bit by one, dude, you might as well forget about it. I'd rather be bit by something way different than that. If I seen his teeth too, when he like he looks up and he's smelling the air, and you see that big incisor. Like, God dang, dude, look at that buck tooth sticking out.
Yeah, I'm sure they could fuck you up if they wanted to.
Oh
I mean,
my God, if they were a crappy personality type animal, dude, forget it. But they're one of the best, honestly, guys. You know, I've had the opportunity to raise quite a few different species of animals, and they're one of my favorites. And like I don't do a lot of this. Well, I'll just buy a bunch and breed them, and I'm not that person. When I raise something, I raise it as part of the fam. Man, I get to know that animal, so a lot of fun. You know, I'm having a great time studying the cassowary right now. She's challenging, man. She's a clever girl. I love it.
Clever girl.
Did you guys see that video of the family? It was totally like a Jurassic Park moment. It reminded me of Jurassic Park 2, I think it was, when they were on the beach and they're like, "Come on, darling, don't carry on the beach." But it was like this family's on the beach, and it must have been in like cassowary territory, because they're sitting on the beach and this girl just turns and she's like, "Mom," and he's just curious, and
they
this
do it all the time.
Just walking up the beach and comes up and like looks in the camera like, "Hi."
Yeah, let me clear up some myths, dude.
And
they are very
funniest.
They're very cool. No, Brittany, there's a ton of videos like that.
Unless they get
I just thought it was so funny because it reminded me of
Jeff.
It just reminded me of Jurassic Park, because it was totally like this young girl and was like, because they look like dinosaurs. They really do.
They really do. But here's the
scary birds, man. They really are.
They're very they're smarter than most of the people who keep them. 100%.
Hi, Seth.
Hey, Seth. Good to see you, partner. Not a problem at all.
Hey, what's up, Seth?
Remember, anybody wants to go back on the show, you can find it on YouTube and start it over, or go to any part. If you remember a number where you want to start and go back from, you know, if you pop in at like 56, you can start from 56 and go back till you already catch it. But cassowaries are really smart. So what's interesting about them is there's only 2 recorded deaths on people that I can find, and they're 100 years apart.
And both probably had it coming.
Wow.
They did.
I
were abusing one, Jeff.
You know, I think the biggest mistake people make with dangerous animals, because I hate to say animals are dangerous, people who get in the way of animals make them dangerous. I
100%.
think that people assume because an animal can hurt you or kill you that they will, or they want to, or that's their nature to do so. You know, I mean, snakes don't bite people because they want to go around and fuck people up. They bite people because people corner them or step on them or threaten their young,
hold them
just
too
like
much.
birds. Or I mean, I don't know if you ever been near like a bird's nest that had some eggs in it, and there's some teeny little mother, you know, chickadee or finch or something that's dive bombing your head. She's like, "You ain't taking my babies." Period.
Yep.
You know, they that's the one thing that holds true in all of nature, is that protective element of the mother.
100%.
You know, so
100%.
I think that people say, "Oh, well, there's a tiger. That tiger is obviously going to come kill me." The tiger's only going to come kill you if you're in its way, you're threatening its babies, or you're encroaching on its territory.
100%.
You know, just leave it alone. Don't kill it. Don't hurt it. Just give it a wide berth. You know, look at it from a distance if you can. Just like snakes. That's what I tell people all the time. You know, what do? Leave it alone. You know, enjoy its beauty. Give it a wide berth. Let it slither away and kill a couple mice or rats on your property, and you may never see it again.
I agree with that. You know, I get like the rest of us, you know, maybe not so much breeding, but because we have animals and we do stuff, you know, I get a lot of again, it's usually just a young person that's really just uneducated and really doesn't know what they're talking about because they saw a video on YouTube, and, you know, now they're going to be an animal crusader and they're going to save animals and free everything.
Yeah, they run an animal rescue and advertise on Craigslist. I've seen that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And so I laughed. They're like, "How could you do
free
that?"
Animals. That's what it says to me.
People come up to me sometimes, and there is incidences like I have a professional place, and I'm definitely not myself. Some of the questions I hear from some of these other human beings that share, you know, the same breath I do, ask me some ridiculous things, folks. And I think that I really want people to start thinking about what they say before they say this. Much they're going to ask a question, but like when they come up and they see Hootie, my owl, McStruffin, depends on whatever I'm going to call him. Like you're yelling at your dog right now. People think that's abuse. He needs to be told it's time to leave.
Oh no, you didn't see me yelling. You see me yelling at my dog.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, you know, people find that bad. Like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You know, like
no, he knows
they get mad at shock collars. You know, oh my God, I can't believe you put a shock collar on that dog. Listen, nobody puts a shock collar on a dog that doesn't need it, right?
Yep. Well,
but
people do, not normal people.
If you're going to be a person that's going to take on a challenging animal and you're too stupid to be challenging with it, dude, then you don't deserve it. And sometimes physical attributes that go along with training are important, especially in dogs, you know. But You know, you got a dog that walks by your couch and pees on it all the time. You put a shock collar on him. You press the beep. It makes a sound, and then it shocks him every time he goes to lift his leg. Pretty soon, he goes towards that crowd. He hears the beep. Within 7-8 days, he hears that beep. He goes around it, right? He didn't die. He's still happy. He's getting a good meal, vet checkups,
He doesn't
a butt
remember any of
scratch,
it.
piece of ice cream that fell on the floor. He's living his life. He doesn't even
It's
remember
all
what
here,
happened.
you know. It's not.
He's
in
like,
his-
oh, that couch right there bites me in the neck. Fuck that
Yeah.
thing. You know, but at the end of the day, with animals, man, animals, you know, I get it all the time. You know, how could you do that? And one of the stupidest things I think you can ask me is, do you think he's happy?
Oh,
a lot of my answers are
crazy.
no.
Or
He tells
do you
me all
think
the
he
time
loves
he
me?
hates his life. He hates it.
Yeah, well, when
We don't
people
really
say
know if
snakes love them,
animals
I want to throw up.
are.
He loves me. He loves to cuddle.
Right, exactly. We have like when they say that with snakes.
Yeah, all the time. He loves to cuddle me. It's like, A, you're warm, and he's also trying to size you up to see if he can swallow you, which he knows he can't.
Because he thinks on a
yeah.
totally separate level, right?
Yep.
And I have a rather large green anaconda. And when I mean large, I mean large. Okay?
Yeah, she's a big
And
girl.
I would never lay in there and be like, oh, I'm just going to go to sleep around him and trust it because it's my cat.
you don't
bear.
wanna
No,
let
I'm
it
not going to
starve.
do that.
Bad move.
Because snakes are logical thinkers, just like crocs and a lot of other wild species that have lived for thousands and thousands of years. So with that being said, snakes are also can calm down. They begin to look at you as part of the atmosphere. I tell people you're just the environment. That's all you are, right? So once you're holding it and your body's warm and it's sitting with you, it's like, cool, it's part of the environment. This is like a tree that walks around to me, you know? And I think a lot of times when people do that, like it's like, oh, I feel bad for those fish in that area because they can't swim past that area.
They don't know.
They don't know. It's like
They don't
koi fish.
fucking have
They
a
don't
clue.
know.
Right. So like in my lemurs. So if I took my lemurs, I have a lot of lemurs. If I took my lemurs and took them out to the wilderness and let them go, they're going to come down to the first person they see.
Yeah, they're captive bred animals. They're not. They weren't bred in the jungle or the wild.
And I think they do. I think mine do love their life, and I know how they act when they're upset. Most people ask me that question. Do not know. They can't even raise their kids right. But they don't. I know when they're upset. I know body language. The way primates act, they're a lot like us. I know when they're really happy, when they're excited, when they want love. When they want love, they come for it, man. They do. They're like little kids. They'll hug you and put their head inside you, and they just want
their
to
butt
hold
through
them.
the grates.
Oh my God, it's great.
Every time I go there, Ozzy sticks his little ass right through the little.
Yeah, you go butt scratch, and he'll come running wherever you say butt scratch. He's on it. He knows the word, bro. That's his vocabulary.
He's so cute.
Yeah,
So
it really
fast.
is. He's. I've known him since he was a little one. And
Yeah, Josh. Well, I've heard that too, man. Since I've been growing up,
he's
man.
a-
That's
You know,
not even real either.
I've never met anybody that was actually chased by a cottonmouth, but I guarantee I've met 1,000 people whose cousins, neighbors, friends, boyfriends, sisters, uncle. You know, it's like everybody they know has been chased by a cottonmouth, but nobody's actually been chased by a cottonmouth.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story, Jeff.
So
Do it.
ridiculous.
I was taking some Gulf Coast box turtles once, and we were up doing a show. I'm not going to say where. It's just where idiots go to die. But they said to me, like, oh, we are. I can't even say it with a straight face. They're like, our family, when we were growing up, when the kids were little, we had a box turtle, and we didn't see him for a very long time. And we finally found his shell. Can you believe he left his shell when he left?
Oh no! Are you
outta here.
My
serious?
husband said he did that because he couldn't get under the fence, so he had to come out of the shell, and he'll find a new one like the hermit
He
crab.
tried to drag it.
These are people that walk around on the streets and drive cars with you. Do you understand
You know what though?
I'm trying to
You know
say?
what though? For
Do
that,
you understand what I have to stand there and go? No, they don't. The only time they leave their shells is when they're dead.
Yeah,
God.
and they don't leave their shells. Something comes and gets them out of it, probably.
Then a lady told me, "Oh, we caught one of those big turtles with the snake neck." And you know what he did? He spun around inside of his shell and shot out the backside and bit me in the foot. He spun inside of his shell.
Well,
He's a
if
Teenage
cartoons
Mutant
have
Ninja
taught us
Turtle, dude.
anything, that is totally possible.
God. Oh my God. And I can't believe it. We're in 2024 now. This was back in 23. Now we're in 2024, and I'm going to hear more of these people get up and think this way.
but you know what? I blame the education system on that one because
No,
that's
I think
a
the
but a
American teach, we
turtle.
talk about it. It's a family thing.
I was going to say, you can't educate somebody out of what their grandfather's been telling them for 25 years. Oh, cottonmouths will chase you down. And, they used to say, was it milk snakes? They used to say, like, would bite their tails and roll down hills. Like,
I'm going to start doing that, actually. I will, Samantha.
I'm going to have to look that up because I think it was milk snakes.
That and, like when they tell you run zigzag, and alligators are big dumb dummies.
Yeah.
They're not. They're
But
outsmart.
that's the same. But that's the
But
same
then you
thing
put
with
people
bears.
on TV. But then you put people on TV, right? That don't teach properly, and they talk about them like they're just going to blow something away. But if anybody ever spends the time, and look, I'm never against. I know people like to hunt and go hunting and do things, eat the meat. Okay, cool. I get that. That's up to you. I can't kill stuff, but you can. That's okay. I'm not mad, but I'm not going to try to shut any of that down. That's not me. I don't care how it goes. That's you, and I respect that. Do what you do. But if you ever take the time, if I try to tell people sometimes, raise something that you kill, right? That you have to kill later. It's a different situation once you raise it. You know what I mean? So it takes a certain type of person, man, to do things like that, to take something. I know there's a lot of, we kneel down before it and we honor it in the name of God for nourishing us, or whatever the fuck they say. It's fine. However you justify what you're doing is fine. I don't do it, but I'm not against it. I think we need hunting of alligators. We need people go, oh, you keep alligators and you think people should kill them? Yeah, I do. Because if we don't allow hunting, we allow poaching, then we have problems, and we don't have enough resources to stop that bullshit.
Yeah, they're not taking two.
We need farms and we need tags.
Taking 50.
And alligators are not endangered species, folks. There are so many Karen calls to an alligator going from one pond to the other that it's a menace. And when you make those phone calls, they have to kill that animal for no reason at all. I say it at every show. I don't care who gets mad at me for it. You don't. I know more than you about alligators. If you live in a subculture area and you see one in your backyard and you're feeding it bread, I already tells me right there. I already know more than you. So when you make a Karen call that is trying to kill you, or FWC's catching people tying ropes around them with bricks and dropping them off their docks to drown them, so these little 3-foot alligators won't kill their children,
right? Or their dog, or their little nippy dog. Yeah.
And they make it illegal, Brittany. Like, I mean, to me, if you really want to work with an animal, if you agitate an alligator, I think we ought to implement training programs. If you get a quote unquote nuisance alligator in an area, you can train it out of being like that, right? You can catch it, agitate it, and release it so many times. By the time even a truck pulls up in that area, or they see a person get out of the car, they're gone, man. And I know because Flavio's done that over in Belize with crocodiles. So it can be done. It's just better to go, just go ahead and shoot it in the truck. If you take a list, how many calls go to SNAP and how many alligators are just killed for no reason. And there are good trappers out there that try to go to the farm so they can just breed them and they don't kill them.
Jimmy.
But we don't have room, guys. Jimmy runs out of room. I mean, we don't have the room for that. With as many calls, it's not right. And that's uneducation. In Florida, it's uneducated, man. It's just like if you move up around elks and deer, you don't need to be going out there. A deer will kill you, and so will an elk. Don't be an idiot.
But
you can't touch it.
Yeah. And I agree. And the problem is, though, is like, why is it the animal's fault? This is where it becomes a problem for me. And I always look at it from the side of the animals because, frankly, you know how I feel sometimes about the human race. So my biggest beef is that we have a problem when a bear comes walking through our neighborhood because, let me get this straight. We ripped up its home to build a whole bunch of back-to-back homes to accommodate one of the most basically invasive species on this planet. Right. And so I get really mad when we invade in or encroach on alligator here in Florida, alligator homes.
That's funny.
I mean, where else are they supposed to live? So for me, it's like, I'm sorry. You should just have the common sense to respect the fact that that's their home. And if you aren't aware, then you would ask some experts or some help. And like Troy's saying, there should be behavioral programs that come out and say, are you having a nuisance alligator?
Or let me
show you how to better handle this so that we don't have to kill an alligator or a bear to accommodate you. No, we should be helping them. We should be making accommodations for them. So that's my biggest problem.
Well, Jim, you're right too. We do live in swamps, and those of us that know how to do it, we live in it. We understand.
We build our houses.
Exactly.
They're not in our backyards.
No,
they were there first.
Or we make a giant retention pond.
Yeah.
You know, that we stock with fish for all the neighbors to go out and
And
fish
what are
at,
they
and everybody,
supposed
right?
to do?
And then when an alligator gets in there, it's like, oh my
alligator
God,
would go in there and eat.
I've never seen one of those in Ohio. Oh my God. Well, then why'd you come here?
Yeah.
Or you can take it up a notch. All of a sudden, when people are like, especially like when you're dealing with, I saw an animal that here's what it looks like. And they're like, oh, that animal wouldn't exist in this area. Oh, well, guess what? That animal has now had to migrate to a new location to adapt to that environment because we pushed it out of its actual home environment.
100%, Craig, 100%.
So
and I've
these are
seen a lot of videos
problems.
coming up with that too lately, and it's annoying.
Because they're very scary looking. They're so chill. Like, I mean,
we have spent so much time protecting them, Jeff.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I love, and I may, you know, and I definitely don't suggest other people do this, but when I go up to Flamingo, you know, I never miss a chance to go see the Croc. And oh, by the way, Samantha, I meant to say that trick with the cheeseburger works with me as well. You know, I go to Flamingo, and a lot of times they'll be sitting right on. They like to sit on the boat launch.
Yep, right on the ramps. Yep, and up on the wooden docks too.
Stand right over them, and they don't pay me any mind as long as I don't bother them or touch them or get too close that they're going to feel threatened. They'll just sit there and let me take pictures, and you know, some of them will pose. You know, it's very nice.
No, yawn. I'm not kidding. You're not kidding about that. Some of them they'll show you. There's behaviors they do when they're done. They'll do what's called a fake yawn. I don't care. Anybody wants to tell me otherwise. I've seen it every time. There'll be a bunch of people that go out there that hear that there's crocodiles, and they go up to it with their videos, and they got lights on it. And I've seen them, man. I've got footage of this one opening his mouth up, showing you, listen, bitch, this is what I got. Get away. And generally, let me tell you, American crocodile won't turn on you generally.
No.
I saw him show his teeth. He got more agitated. He hit the water. He didn't come after anybody.
Yeah, and that's like the little alligators do that too. If you get near
alligators will bluff, but they're more apt to come after you than a crocodile. 100%.
Yeah.
And those crocodiles, there's a lot of people I know in the industry that have been spending a lot of time protecting those animals and defending and keeping them going because they're an amazing commodity to Florida. They're one of my favorite things, dude.
Oh, I love them, man. It's definitely one of my favorite things to go out of my way to go see in Florida is to go see the crocodiles. I just find it so fascinating.
Man, I love it. I love it. And the little babies
turn to the other side and see alligators in the same little space, you know. Nowhere in the world can you do that outside of a zoo except for in South Florida, which I think is so cool. And I actually saw an article about the American crocodiles. They're saying that they're moving up a little bit more north, and people are freaking out. It's like they haven't eaten anybody down south. We've done more to them than they have done to us.
100%. And we don't fuck with them. That's a big key there. And while you're listening, Craig, that's a big key because in Costa Rica at Crocodile Bridge, they feed them. So people bring food, and when you don't got food, they're going to get annoyed. We don't do that here with the American crocodiles. We keep people away from them. So they've learned to cohabitate with us, and we don't have issues like that. But the first time a YouTuber that doesn't know anything about animals goes down there and gets chomped by one of those really big, beautiful crocodiles, they're going to have to kill them.
They're going to call for their heads.
One of the craziest things, I still want the tattoo that Ricky sent me that I still have, and he was supposed to get with me, of the Cupid doll inside the alligator's mouth, and it says Disney 2016.
That's awesome.
And the reason I want that tattoo is because when I was a kid and I used to get on the monorail with my grandparents or my parents when we were going to Epcot Center or whatever, I used to love to count the alligator heads I would see in the water underneath us. And now you don't see one. You see nothing. And every 10 foot is a sign. Don't go in there, dumbass. Don't be a dummy and swim at night, stupid. There's alligators, dummy. You should just know.
Be neon and people would still
do it. Job. It's not our job to protect you, okay, from the wildlife in Florida. It's your job to get educated before you come here. If you die or kill one of your children, that's your fault. That's your fault. I'm going to stand by that till day one. But they started carrying it, killed all those alligators out there. They took hundreds of them out there when it happened. And I still hear the story to this day. Didn't an alligator kill a child? I'm like, dude, that was 16. Was like 8 years ago now? Whatever, where we're at now. Whatever.
8 years ago, yeah.
Okay. And the father in the nighttime took his toddler out swimming. And he didn't know the difference between a 4-foot alligator and an 8-foot alligator. Said it 1,000 times. I remember seeing photos of the kid. He had bite scratches only on his leg.
He drowned.
They called a couple other people in that I personally know that got to go look at that and assess that. And they said that the child just drowned, man.
He drowned, yeah.
Right. And he was 15 foot from the shore. Had the father just grabbed the baby instead of running like a coward, like the witnesses said he did, back up to the beach to call the police, he probably would have his child. I don't know any parent that doesn't purposely kill their kid. If an alligator grabs him, Jeff, you don't get on him. I don't care if you're Mother Teresa and you've never been around one in your life. If an animal grabs your child, you fight to the death. You don't mind losing your life. So the fact that he turned around and left that kid
there.
there.
In that water so fast, your head would spin.
But the fact that he left them there, dude, to this day,
either we both die or nobody dies.
I think that was a
post. That's right.
That was a post-birth abortion. That's what he was doing.
I would rip an animal's head off.
100%. Nathan would fight too.
Yep.
Anybody would fight for their children, man. I mean, that's so you
adrenaline and instinct kicked in. That's yours. It's going to be mine or you. It's going to be mine.
You'll have 100%.
Absolutely.
That's when you become an animal. At that moment, you're both animals and you're defending your young. You don't think about shit.
Right.
You don't care if your phone gets wet.
Over for sure.
You don't care about any of that. You don't care about
I would punch a puppy in the face if it had my kid. I do not care. My child is my child. Period. 100%. I love everyone.
So nobody finds that fishy? Nobody finds that fishy to you? That happened like that?
Oh, no, it's definitely well, I mean, you can look at it two ways. The father wanted to get rid of his kid, or, it was just social Darwinism because, and this is going to sound really shitty, but the kid's going to grow up to be as stupid as his fucking father is. So eventually he's going to run into something like that anyway, and maybe with his own kids.
I think that
or his dad was just a coward.
Or his dad was just a coward.
100%.
And he's like, my son's a meat shield. There's an alligator here. Oops.
No, I think what happened was the alligator came up, and it wasn't an 8-foot alligator that grabbed the baby. Just so you know.
Yeah, I heard that.
There was no way. You've seen it. There's no way.
So the baby would be mutilated.
100%. I think a little alligator swam up because the child was a toddler. I'm going to tell you exactly why it happened. First of all, no one's going to argue with me. Alligators know exactly what they're doing, man. Right? But when you put an animal into a feeding mode, it's totally different.
Yeah,
you get one dog attacks, they all go into that mode and they attack. It's instinct. If a large alligator, a big one, that's 8 foot and up, they're usually skilled at what they want to do. Generally, they're not going to grab that when they see a bipedal hominid standing next to them. Here's a human, standing next to a baby. I think a little alligator did it because he hyper-focused on the baby being so small, the same way a possum or a raccoon or a small animal would be on the water.
Right.
Because you walk up to any alligator, big or small, usually, and they're wild, they're scared to death because they look up.
They run right into the water.
They run. They could kill you, dude, and flip your kayak, and they're still like, Jesus, look at that big man on that boat. Oh, my God. They scurry off, and they're huge. So the fact that happened was I think that the alligator came up, probably, grabbed him, realized it wasn't a source of food. The guy made a ruckus. The alligator left. But they killed every alligator out there, dude. They killed every one of them. It was just, and if they didn't kill them, they killed the bigger ones over 4 feet, and then they released the little ones somewhere else at a farm or something else. They all got pulled out of that lake, which was dumb because think of all the years at Disney. Have you ever heard of that happening at Walt Disney World?
Never.
No,
I've
and
never.
Then they went in like a bunch of morons, dude, and then covered up the Captain Hook TikTok crocodile, covered the crocodile in front of the Rainforest Cafe, covered up the crocodile because it was a sensitive subject. For
they
Disney.
were taken out of Jungle Cruise.
You ready for this one? Some of the staff that worked there had a hard time and had to get counseling because a child died or dreams come true.
Right, that they didn't know, or they're the same people that say they hate somebody, and when they die, they go and post on their Facebook page like, "Oh, my good friend just died." Those are the same kind of individuals.
And you don't even know them.
Milk people's death for their own, bullshit. It's funny. I don't know why this made me think of it, but people believing stupid information. So somebody, I don't know, was it you, Craig, that sent me it was Craig that sent me the article about Brian Barczyk dying from the vaccine because it was made of cobra venom, and the irony of him working with animals.
Yeah, see, that's more idiocracy.
Yeah. Craig said that to me too. Yeah.
And, it's just so exploitive. That guy knows full well that there's no cobra venom, and he knows that that's not how Brian died. But he sees an opportunity to get some clickbait, and uses a guy who just spent his life trying to educate people. It's fucked up.
I'm going to say that I don't normally talk about it. I would never make a post about him or anybody for that matter. That was my friend or my family. If you die, Jeff, I'd never make a post about it. I think a lot of that
Better.
is, in my personal opinion, I don't do that because I just think the dignity of death is a dignity to be
It's
gone.
gratuitous.
Okay?
It
There's
can be
enough of it
gratuitous
there.
for sure.
I don't personally know Brian Barczyk, but I've seen some of his stuff, and I've seen him around and cross paths with him. He was a neat dude. It's terrible what he went through, and I hope the family pushes on big time, and I hope that what they do and they keep doing, especially in the animal conservation industry, I hope it's got to suck. It's a terrible thing because, again, Brian wasn't a quiet person.
No.
So he was really out there, and a lot of people knew who he was. And I know people fall in love with characters that they see on YouTube or in the movies or whatever. And he lived what he was online. He just did. And
super nice.
Sorry to see him go. He but he did what he loved. He made that very clear. And for people that are going to go out and two people I think are disgusting, and the people that make up things about like that. When they know better, he came out and he told everybody what was going on. He followed his journey. Respect it. Don't make up garbage and lie about him. And two, for those of people that have to put it up to get attention, like, oh, I'm so broken inside. I saw him at an animal con. He just, I think you're just doing it for.
Of course.
That didn't stop you from going to dinner that night. You're not his family. You're not his close friends. You're not the people that feel the pain of that loss. You're not that person. So to go out and do that online is disgusting to me. I think it's disgusting. I'm sorry. I'll just say it. It's disgusting. Don't do it. If you didn't know that person, really know that person, don't be disgusting and put something out there so you could be part of the sympathy team. I think it's sick.
For those of you that don't know, Brian was a reptile and animal influencer for years, and his whole life was about educating. And
even before he was an influencer, he was really into the hobby. Way before that, he was known for snakes. Yep.
And he was always down for answering questions. He would go out of his way to tell people, like, I bred a few animals, and he would message me and just tell me how awesome they were, and I'd be like, it would fucking hit me right in the heart. But he was a regular guy. Aside from all that, I mean, a few too many affliction shirts. Sorry, Brian. But he was like a regular guy, and he loved animals. He loved to be around animals. And most of all, he loved to educate people about animals. And he got pancreatic cancer, which is by far one of the worst cancers from a prognosis standpoint. If you get diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, it's not if, but when, it's you're going. And he spent all the way up until his last days, literally his last days, still online, still making videos. He was transparent and upfront with his audience.
He was transparent, man, more than I would have been.
Oh, definitely. He was more transparent than Magic. And until he had to be. But he was just, I don't even know why we got into that part of the conversation, but
I'm just saying because because of that. Yep.
Yeah, and this person literally, he wasn't even dead yet, by the way, when this got posted. He was still alive. He just died was it yesterday when he finally passed.
The family released it, and yes.
Yep. And this article came out, I think Craig sent it to me over a week ago, saying that he died because of the cobra venom in the vaccine.
In the vaccine. That's what was posted. Yeah.
And I've actually heard that theory floated around before too, and it's all about, if you take the name of the vaccine and take out this letter and turn that letter around, it's all weird religious shit. But no offense to my religious friends.
I think if the family chooses when their loved one passed to make like a general post on their personal Facebook page or something, so that all their friends that know this person can say, thank you for letting us know. We're sorry for your loss. We're here if you need us, like just to be there and support for somebody. But I think it would be so dumb unless you want to just post a nice picture and then tag the family. Like if you have a cool picture with that person, like doing something fun, I think that's honoring them and remembering their life, remembering them and keeping them alive. But I think when you make it traumatic and then you make a post about, I don't know how I can go on today because this person that I used to follow on Instagram has passed away. To me, I get very annoyed with that. I think there's a respectful way to honor someone's legacy and life and not make it about you.
Yeah,
and I just think it's
shared
so
off
distasteful.
His page his final goodbye message just because it moved me, And again, right up until the end, and you could tell that he had hit that last stage of acceptance quite a while ago, because he was, you know, calm as a Hindu cow. He would just come on and say, you know, this is where I'm at, this is where my treatment is, this is, you know, and then finally he said, I don't want to do it anymore. You know, he didn't want to do, it didn't make any sense to keep pumping chemicals into himself and live his last days, you know, curled up in a ball because he couldn't handle the pain or the vomiting or whatever.
100%. And for those of you out there that want to support him, keep following the videos that his family's going to carry on and keep his legacy going, man.
Yep.
Like, go visit.
And
Keep him alive.
That's how you support that, man. That's how you
That's
support
right.
that. So all these bleeders, man, and
say his name, see his videos, keep him alive through his legacy. That's how you show support and love.
that's
For
it. And his videos, you know what? He's immortal, man, because he's going to be out there forever. His videos will always be there.
Yep.
Just like
So
Steve Irwin, same thing.
Takes it down.
And his Reptarium is still going strong. His family's still going to run the Reptarium, which is a very,
don't
very
forget the
cool
legacy
place.
aquarium he's got.
Yep, it's unreal. And he's got some of the coolest animals you've ever seen. You know, it's like Troy's house, but on steroids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's so much shit there.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, he definitely was probably one of the better and most down to earth influencers to hit the scene.
You know what it was? Because you know what it was, Jeff, is because a lot of people, I'll tell you this, and you'll know it too. A lot of people, you know, they become they're like a Johnny come lately, and I say that within. So if you're around like within the past 15 years, and all of a sudden you're
they're in, they're out.
Go out and you're like, you're going to start this big thing and you're going to save animals and all that. And you get out there and you're ignorant and you talk to people like they're nothing. And you talk down like, you shouldn't have this, but I can.
Right. Because I know
you shouldn't have it, but I can. People are the dumbest people in the world, man. You know? And so, I don't know. And I'm sure I'm going to get some war for that, but I don't care. You don't act like that, man. Like be helpful towards people. There are a lot of people that just don't know. And there's people that want to do things, right? And there's people that want to do things and want to learn. Don't post something and go, this is why you shouldn't have this. Because that one post you made is one post from a moron, not to the thousands of people who have that specific animal. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That you want to play with or learn about or tickle Gucci goo, but no one else is allowed because you're qualified. Says who?
Special. Yeah.
Says who? Why are you qualified? How many of you race? Are you a zoologist? Did you go to college? You know, there's so much of that. And then, yes, there are some people that become biologists and stuff, but they're arrogant, dude, and they act like dicks, and nobody wants to listen to them.
Yep.
It's
Listen, you know, you can read everything in a book all day long. You can act like you know everything from a book, but the moment you sit in the presence of one of these animals, you know nothing. You know shit.
Yeah.
So don't come at me with your little book that you learned all this from. You need to have the hands-on. You need to be in the presence of an animal. And that's the only time that you truly will learn the animal.
Mm-hmm.
And then even still, that doesn't give you the right to put people down. You still choose kindness because there are people that generally don't know and they want to know. They come to you because they want to know. Like if Troy was just like, oh, F you if you don't know it. I'm not telling you this. But this genuine kid was like, I want to be like you one day. I want to have what you have. Tell me how.
Exactly.
Then Troy would be like, yeah, bro, let me show you how. This is how you do it. But if you come off arrogant, like you can't, but I can because I'm blah, blah, blah. You just make everybody look bad. You know, always choose to show kindness in this. Like I get pissed off at that, even in my field. No, there is kindness. Always show kindness because somebody else was as curious as you were and somebody helped you.
And I don't
somebody cared enough.
Really. I don't let a lot of people in. I don't give a lot of information out freely. I don't even tell anybody I have animals most of the time. Like,
yeah, but you've
I'm
done some good.
who I'm going to talk to you about that. I'm select, and that's just how it is, man. I just don't. That's just me.
I mean, I've seen you mentor Cody and Daniel. You know what I mean, and you turn them into
me. Ricky. He mentored me.
Yep, and you turn
because I got mentored by some good people when I was young. I mean, I got to be around some of the heroes, man, that were doing it long before. And then I'll tell you what, and I've been doing it professionally 28 years. Okay.
Yep.
I never did. I never and made a big deal out of it. I just really liked it. And it was something I like to do. And I always do other things. It's something I care about, you know?
And self-taught
I've been
before
doing
that.
it 28 years professionally. And that's not even what I've been doing since I was a kid. And I still don't know shit about hognose snakes, you know? So if I want to learn something about hognose, I'm going right to Jeff. Jeff, listen, dude. I'm thinking about getting this hognose. Right. What do you recommend? I'm not going to be like, I know because I have indigos. You know what I mean? That's a different animal. So just remember
that's
that.
Like when you and I were growing up, Troy, you were like the scales guy and I was the furry. So if I had a scales question,
she was a furry.
No, I would not like that. Not like a furry. Let me rewind this. Not like the mammals. I was But
I used to call her Badger Brittany in the furry circles.
But like, if I needed answers on like when I would start mothering types of different iguanas or helping rescue and like, Troy, I got this animal. I want to know how I should take care of it. It was a reptile, or like when he was teaching me with crocodiles and alligators and all these specimens, I didn't know. And I wouldn't act like I knew. I wanted him to teach me. I wanted to know more, so it was cool for me that we
How
could
you do it?
Yeah.
How you do it?
Yeah. And so he taught me a hell of a lot, like more than I probably would
learn
have
a lot
ever
from each
discovered
other,
in a
man.
book.
We learn a lot from each other. A lot of people out there doing that. And, if somebody doesn't like you, let me tell you something, guys, for you, those of you listening, if you want to do something, the people that talk about you don't like you or call you a piece of shit or an asshole or whatever. It's just because they're jealous of what you're doing, man, because they just can't do it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They can't do it. They can pretend. They can wear the t-shirt and they can pretend, but they can't do it. They can't do it. They cannot manage it, And then there's just people that can, and they're just dicks to people. And I think that's rude too. So at the end of the day, we all learn from each other. And I guess keep on doing that, and we'll keep trying to do what we do and teach what we know, and you guys know what you know. And for those of you that didn't get to catch it from the beginning of the show, it was a pretty good one tonight. We're an hour and 31 minutes in, so I'm going to end it. Yeah. But
one quick note: if they don't hate you ain't doing it right.
That's right, man.
That's right.
That's right. If you got no enemies, you're doing it wrong, baby.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and don't block the haters. Let them see you shine.
That's it. Success is the best revenge.
Yeah, the problem is people say you need haters, man, because they keep you going. They really do. But there's no reason to hate. I don't understand that, man. If I saw somebody doing something that I'm doing, I'd watch them and learn and talk to them. So I just never could understand that. And that was a big teaching of Flavio when we were young. Big teaching. Yep. About learning from everyone and everything from all angles and all ages, dude. You just have to
find the best and the brightest and take what you need.
That's right.
Yep. And the good educators are always like, take what you learned and now create your own from that. Find what fits you. Those are also the great teachers. That's what Troy would do. This is how I would handle this. But if you found a different way of handling an animal and it worked for you, then do it that way.
That's right. Those who can do and those who can't teach. And on that note, folks, at the end of the day, we're going to end the Motley Croc Show. And thank you for coming out. As always, Brittany and Jeff was here. Jimmy's out on the road. He'll probably be with us next time. But everybody who's come on, Craig, beginners, Jim, all of you guys.
So many
Steph,
names.
everybody,
Nadia,
my cousin Nathan, everybody who's been here. I see you on here.
Julia, Samantha. Julie,
Samantha. So everybody I know, man, all of y'all that came out and always support us and keep us going. Julie, all of you. I appreciate everybody that comes out and watches us and hangs out with us. Sean. My neighbors, all of them. Thank you guys for coming in here and keeping us going. We appreciate the time with you. And we're going to go ahead and sign out for the night. Until next week, guys, have a great week. Be safe out there and learn what you can. We'll see you.